kind of clever myself, but then again, I have to because no one else would. This is W1YSM. I'll take check-ins. I'll take Echolink and IRLP first for the W1YU Yale Amateur Radio Club. This is W1YSM. Stations on Echolink and IRLP, please call now.
W3 and H. This is W3 and H.
And here is AD1DQ, Alpha Bravo 1 Delta Quebec, James Cheshire.
This is Kilo Golf 4, Victor Yankee Delta, KG4 VYD, Buddy, Briarfield, Alabama.
This is
Alpha Charlie 4, Lima Alpha, Pete, Papa Echo, Tango Echo, Huntsville, Alabama.
This is Kilo Victor 4 Sierra, Russell and Chelsea, Alabama.
Hey, Roger, Ned recognizes N1BRL who checked in and out before you guys got here. W3NH Owen in Birmingham. AB1DQ James in Cheshire. KG4 VYD, Kilo Golf 4 Victor Yankee Delta, Buddy. The next one, Pete in Huntsville. I got the last two letters of your call. Could you please give me your call sign one more time, please? I missed it.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I think it's Ed, Echo Delta. The call sign is Alpha Charlie 4, Lima Alpha. Alpha Charlie 4, Lima Alpha, and the name is Pete. Over.
All right, I'm sorry, did I mangle your name? It's Steve, you said? I apologize for getting the name wrong. I do have your call sign now, Alpha Charlie 4 Lima Alpha, and it's apparently Steve instead of Pete. If I have mangled that, I will get that corrected, and then I'll mangle your city. Kilo Victor 4 Sierra Russell in Chelsea. All right, any fixed stations or anyone else wishing to check in to W1YU, the Yale University Amateur Radio Club? The question tonight is if you could come back as any component in the electronic box of toys and parts, what would you come back as? All right, let's. Any other check-ins? Please call now.
This is N1BRL, Barton, Wallingford. I'll be in and out, but I would be an inductor.
This is Kilo Oscar 4, Juliet Yankee Uniform, KO4JYU, Larry in Hoover, Alabama. I'm here for the duration. This is
One uniform kilo X-ray. Pregnant out Wallingford. I was in center. This is Kilo Delta 4 Golf Sierra, KD4GS, Jimbo in Shelby County, Alabama. And if I had to come back, I'd come back as an off-on switch. Short time, back to net control.
I also have now Kilo Oscar 4 Juliet Yankee Uniform, Larry, in Hoover, Alabama, it sounds like. And then it was, sounds like Whiskey 1 Uniform Kilo X-Ray, and I didn't get a name or a city. I apologize, but I think I got the call right. Whiskey 1 Uniform Kilo X-Ray. Is that correct? Over?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, okay. The name is Greg, and you're in Wallingford, and you're in our club, which is good. I just looked at my list, and there you are, Whiskey 1 Uniform Kilo X-Ray. Greg, good to have you with us, Greg. Thank you for joining. And Shelby, in Shelby, Alabama, KD4GS, Kilo Delta 4 Golf Sierra. I didn't get a first name with that. I'm trying desperately to come up with it, but I can't. So can I have your first name, please? I apologize for not knowing it.
That's okay. The name is Jimbo, Juliet India Mike Bravo Oscar, short time. And I would like to be an on and off switch. Talk about power control. Back to net.
Right, we'll get back to you soon. You'll see an on and off switch. All right, we're going to stop there, and we'll come back every few people and see if anyone else wants to check in for this incredibly useful question. I will decide that I'm going to come back as a speaker because I like to talk, and that's what I do. I have no qualms about talking. Get that qualm? That was very good. Some of you, I don't know if Qualm still makes speakers, but my dad used to sell them in his electronics store. That was pretty clever of me, I thought. Anyway, I have to because nobody else will. Some of you in YSM will come back as a speaker. Anyone in BRL is going to be an inductor. So we'll go over to Owen, W3NH. What are you going to be if you come back, Owen?
Well, I've been sitting here trying to come up with a clever answer. It's W3NH, but gee, I don't know. I'd like to be a mute button, but that's really a circuit. That's not a component. Yeah, but I'd like to be a mute button. There's some people I love to mute. Not on this net, but in general.
Roger, I have to be careful how I do this because I start talking before Echo Link kicks in and people miss things, and I clip it at the end, so it's just an awkward pause as I'm waiting for Echo Link to check in. No, you're allowed to go back as a mute button. Since I made up the rules, you can be a circuit if you want to be. No problem. Being a mute button is a good idea. I'm glad I don't have one. There are other people I would like to mute, so I think that's a perfectly wonderful thing to come back as. It's no fun being a speaker. Get it? I have no qualms about it. I thought that was good. All right. Well, welcome to you, sir. I appreciate your checking in as often as you do. What we should all do is we should all meet like in Maryland or someplace. We'll come down, you guys come up, and we could have a party when we can get together sometime and meet each other face to face. It would be kind of nice to see what you guys look, and we can put a face with the voice. All right, hang on, my friend. We're going to go to AB1DQ. James in Cheshire, what do you want to come back as?
Oh, good evening, Ed. You said stupid. I wouldn't say stupid. Fun, definitely. I'm going to be a vacuum tube, of course, because I'm old, like vacuum tubes, and they're fun. I would be a rectifier tube. I built some power supplies recently using rectifier tubes that, the first stage in converting AC to DC, and specifically as a rectifier, I'd like to get 5U4G because I like the tall Coke bottle look. It's a classic look, and, I like to be classy. Anyways, Ed, good topic. You can check me out. I'm going in to grab some dinner with the XYL. I'll let you carry on. You got a lot of check-ins. Have a lot of fun with the net. Good job, Ed. We'll talk soon. 81 DQ, clear, and gone. Back to net.
Roger. Well, actually, there's one tube that I actually mounted on a small block that I have in my office, and it is a 5U4GB. I agree with you. That is one of my favorite tubes. Next up is the 35Z5 as far as rectifiers go. I used to sell parts to my dad's store. He had an electronics store in Queens when he came back from Chicago. He used to work for Lafayette Radio and Allied Radio, Concord Radio, and he came back to New York and opened up. It was like a Radio Shack, only it was not a franchise. And I would go there and sell what I could, but I did like the vacuum tubes. All right, let's pause for a second, see if there are any other check-ins for the Yale W1YU Amateur Radio Club Net. Please call now if you would like to check in.
This is Whiskey Alpha 1, Romeo Alpha Bravo, Bob in Milford, and I'd like to be a power supply.
Okay, we've gone from circuits to now entire items as we're moving up the ladder here. All right, we'll get back to you in a minute, Bob. Keep your current running. Whiskey Golf 4, Victor Yankee Delta, Buddy in Alabama. What would you like to come back, sir? If you had to be a component, what would it be? KG4, VYD. Buddy, are you still on frequency?
I'll text him and see where he went and try to get him back on here. If you want to go ahead and catch him later, W3NA.
Roger, thank you, Owen. You're always so gracious in trying to help out. We really appreciate that. I was going to put him down as an antenna null. That was another clever thing. There you go. All right, Alpha Charlie 4, Lima Alpha, AC4LA, Pete, or maybe Steve in Huntsville. Please let me know what the correct spelling of your name is, first name, and what component do you want to be, sir?
Yeah, okay, Ed. Thanks for calling the net, and good evening from Alabama to Yale there. I'll tell you, and my name is Pete, Papa Echo Tango Echo, Pete, not Steve, although I do get called that quite often, so don't worry about it. Might be my accent down here, but that being said, I think I'd like to be, at first I thought a capacitor, but then I thought, I think, an RF amplifier transistor, but as many of those I blow up and burn up as I have done, I think I'd probably rather be a capacitor, because as a capacitor I can filter stuff, I can bring highs and lows in and out, and just as a component, I really like that. And it has musical qualities to it, and they're useful in electronic musical instruments. So I think a capacitor, but I'd settle for power transistor, I had to be another component, because I think those two combined are pretty well, pretty good. AC4LA Alpha Charlie 4 Lima Alpha back to net, and thank you, Ed.
Roger. Well, Pete, as a special bonus tonight, you're allowed to come back twice. So you can go back once as a capacitor, and then the next time around, a power transistor. So you got a long road ahead of you here. You got a way to go. So, or you could be a capacitor, and then you could hook up with N1BRL as an inductor, and then you could be a tuned circuit. That would be kind of nice, I guess, if that's right. I think that's the tuned circuit. Anyway, we'll move on to KV4S, Kilo, Victor 4, Sierra, Russell, and Chelsea. Any thoughts on where you're going to come out of the electronic box being? Russell, how are you tonight?
Well, good evening to the net. Thanks for taking my check-in. This is Russell, Kilo Victor 4 Sierra in Chelsea, Alabama. Never really put much thought into it, but I guess if I had to come up with something on the fly, I would probably say maybe a capacitor. And the reason is once I get filled up on coffee, I can run without power for a while. I guess that's the closest I can come up with. We've had a busy couple of weeks. We've been getting back into the school swing of things and trying to keep a handle on the grass cutting with all the rain we've been getting, which has been a chore in itself. Plus, I've got ant beds popping up everywhere with all this water, and trying to get those controllable again. So that's all I've got. I'll turn it back to net control. Good to hear the net, and hope everything's going well up at the Yale University. 7-3 from KV4S.
Roger, I was waiting for the carrier to drop for the echo link. Yeah, capacitor seems to be in the lead here. With this much water, maybe someone would like to come back at the role of coaxial, so you can keep the water out of your coax. Capacitor is good, and you guys are pretty clever. One of the problems in trying to have some fun with this is it puts everybody on the spot to try to think of something very clever that no one else thought of, and that wasn't my intent. It was just, kind of what you thought. I was waiting for someone to say they were going to be a resistor, but I'm not sure if anybody's out marching with signs ticketing, then they're more likely to be a resistor. It's actually an interesting question. It kind of gets to, it actually gets to nothing, and maybe your personality, maybe whatever. Anyway, good to have you with us, guys. Let me just see if, we'll go on to Kilo Oscar 4. Juliet Yankee Uniform, Larry and Hoover, what kind of a component are you looking at being, sir, if any?
Yeah, this is Larry, Kilo Oscar 4, Juliet Yankee Uniform. Thanks to Ed and for calling the net and doing a great job. And hello to everybody on the net. I am definitely a diode, and I'm so excited nobody else has thought of that. I'm a protector of the circuit, and we're going to follow directions and go one way only. That way we can control the information. So, yeah, I'm definitely a diode. KO4JYU.
Roger. Okay, well, that sounds good. Someone that needs to be a diode might as well be you. And I thought of that, actually, but I thought a speaker was fit more with my verbal skills. But without diodes, you can't have radios, so good to hear that. All right, let's pause for a second. Any other check-ins to the somewhat bizarre W1YU Yale Amateur Radio Club? This is W1YSM Ed in Wallingford, Connecticut. Looking for any other check-ins to the net. Please call now.
Whiskey Alpha 4, Alpha Quebec Whiskey. Carl in Maryville, Illinois.
And Ed Buddy should be on here now as well, W3 and 8.
Roger. Okay, well, let's go back to Buddy. Kilo Golf 4, Victor Yankee Delta. Tried to sneak away there, Buddy, but we got you back, bringing you to justice. What supporter would you want to be if you came back?
Kilo Golf 4, Victor Yankee Delta. Well, when I was first thought of it, I was thinking about an antenna, but about after contemplating about it some more, I decided I wanted to be a solid state hard drive, so I could absorb information and store it. AG4 VYD.
Right, so you're going to come back as a hard drive. Well, that's that sounds good. No problem. Glad to have you with us. I'm sure someone else will come back as a computer circuit sooner or later. Thank you for getting back, and thank you, Owen, for finding him and bringing him back. We appreciate that. All right, let's go to W1UKX. Oh, I'm sorry. I was supposed to. There were two other people that checked in. One was David, and David, I apologize. I didn't get your call sign or your location, but I got your name. Somehow I feel you've checked in before, and I should know you, and I apologize. I'll just have to say I need that information, your call sign and your location, please. Good news is I heard you. The bad news is that's what you sounded like the first time. It looks like it was Kilo something Oscar Papa Echo, and I didn't get where you are located. You're kind of in the mud. I surely know about being in the mud. I will tell you my mud story in a moment. But since you're next up, actually, let's hold on. Well, maybe you can move to a little different location. I also have Carl. Whiskey Alpha 4, Alpha Quebec, I think it's uniform. I'm not sure if it's WA4AQW. And Carl in what looks like Prairieville, I think Illinois. I think Prairieville's in Illinois. If you could come back and tell me what I got wrong, I'd appreciate it.
This is WA4AQW. I think you have a call sign correct. It's Whiskey Alpha 4, Alpha Quebec Whiskey. And the QTH is Maryville, Illinois. We're about 15 miles east of St. Louis, Missouri. Over.
Right. Okay, I got it that time. It sounded like Murrayville. I was actually born in Chicago, Illinois, but that was a long time ago, before they actually had a Chicago. We'll get back to you in a few minutes, Carl. Thank you. We're up to W1UKX. Greg, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I just heard you out, starting up the net, so I thought I'd join in. I think if anything, I would be an antenna, because I always heard that was really the most important part of the system, and I think there's just something about it, the way it interacts with the radio waves. It just seems like that's the heart of the radio.
Hey, if you come back next week, we'll ask you if you want to be a Yagi, a dipole, a inverted V, a mag mount. Specifically, what kind of antenna do you want? You can think about that for the coming week. Appreciate it. Thank you for checking in, by the way. It's good to have you with us, and I'm glad you're a member of the Meriden Amateur Radio Club. We got another couple of members over the last few days, so we're burgeoning, and we're up to about 115 members now. All right, let's go to KD4 Gulf Sierra, Jimbo, who wants to be an on-off switch. All right, Jimbo, you're up. Why an on-off switch?
A comment, W3 and H. Again, I need to intercede with one of the Alabama crew.
Owen, this is like herding cats. You gotta keep your group together here. All right, if you can go find him, that would be great. Appreciate it. All right, let's go to WA1RAB while Owen is out. You're going to need extra overtime pay here, Owen. It's really kind of you to do all this. WA1RAB, Bob in Milford. Power supply, huh? All right, let's hear for the reason for that.
Well, I guess you could, this is WK1RAB, Bob in Milford. I guess you could say without the power supply, nothing works at all. So, pretty much control everything right down the line. Back to net control.
If there were any women on this net, they would be shaking their head. Boy, you men, all you want to be is in charge and controlling everything and being the best and blah, blah, blah. What about, if it's so you can sort of fine-tune the volume or maybe a regenerative switch or something. Whatever. We are what we are, guys, and that's God love us all. All right, David, I had up to you now. I have a kilo blank, would look like Oscar Peter Echo. Can you try slowly to give me the rest of your call and your QTH?
Kilo Charlie 1, Oscar Papa Echo, and David Shelton.
Well, David, I don't know whether you got an extra 150 watts or whether you got a bigger antenna or whether you moved, but whatever it is worked. You were almost full quieting. So you're also, I believe, part of the Meriden Club, are you not? KC1 Oscar Papa Echo. No, I don't see you. I thought you were. Well, you should join if you're not, because all the cool people are members of our club. Anyway, good to have you with us. What component do you want to be, sir?
Thank you. Yeah, I just changed rooms and all the difference it makes. I think if I pick a component, I'd be a battery. I like to move around, and I like being mobile. And if I'm on battery power, then I'm not tethered down. Back to net control.
Roger. Well, that's, this could be an actually QST on or the Journal of Psychology, one of the two. Not sure which. But that's great. You guys are always coming up with some really good ideas here. All right, let's go to Carl, WA4 Alpha Quebec Whiskey, and then we'll get another call up. Carl, what do you think you'd like to be if you came back?
This is WA4AQW. We'll say good evening to everyone on the net. And I think I'd probably want to be an LED, a light-emitting diode. And the reason for that is I like to keep everything bright, cheerful, and well illuminated. Over.
Roger. Well, I tell you, this net is turning out better than I had hoped. Everybody wants to be something with a really good reason. I'm very impressed. You guys are very clever and telling a little bit about the peak inside your soul. This is wonderful. So let me pause for a second and see if anybody else wants to, a la WA4AQW, illuminate us with their components of choice if they come back as an electronic components in the next life. Anybody else wishing to check in, please call now. This is W1YSM.
W3 and H, I'll give you another component, but I didn't know if you were going to come back and get me anyway or not. I've been in here standing in for everyone else, but I have a component in mind.
Absolutely, no problem, Owen. We had you down as a mute button, so I thought you want to be a second component. You get to come back twice if Pete can come back twice. No problem. What else? You're on.
Okay, I want to be a digital logic. I'd like to be an iffy gate, which means if it decides to work, you might get a high output, or if it doesn't work, you won't get a low output. But that's really the same thing. And is it under warranty or not? If it works, that's all.
Sure. Well, you're getting all electronic on me there, which is good. I appreciate that, and it's a very clever desire you have. So what we have here is we have a speaker, an inductor, a mute button who was longing to be a digital logic gate, a vacuum tube rectifier, a solid-state hard drive, a capacitor who's longing to be a power transistor, another capacitor, they didn't mention electrolytic or if it was paper or whatever, a diode, an antenna, an on-off switch, a power supply, a battery, and an LED. That's pretty impressive. You know, we can put it all together and make a junk box, or maybe a radio. When I was younger, well, it was a while ago, I was in England at a meeting, and I went to Portobello Road, which is they have an antique show there in London on Sundays, and a huge number of antiques. And I found Players cigarettes in World War II and World War I, I guess. Players had cards that were in the cigarettes, and they had a series on radio, crystal radio, how to make a crystal radio, and you know, like for a foxhole radio. And I bought those. I still have them. Those, not the cigarettes, but the cards. They had tons of playing cards and things, and trading cards, I think they were. But there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with little pieces to make radio. So this was actually kind of fun. All right, so if I hope I sound better. The reason I sound better is that we had the house sited, and we had to take my antennas down, so I had to go to my Go Kit, and I'm currently on a Kenwood radio, a V71. The logic circuit, I got you. I'm on a Kenwood TM V71A with a mag mount hooked to my my deck, trying to get a signal out, and I wasn't getting out. And then a friend came over and took a look at the radio and said, well, if you go on high power instead of low, maybe you'll get your signal out better. And lo and behold, I switched to high power, and here I am. So everyone seems to be able to hear me much better. I think I was on low to medium power before, which wasn't enough. I didn't see it because it was in an ammo can for a Go Kit, and there was a shadow over the faceplate, and I couldn't see the icon. So I apologize for being a Dumbo, but here I am. So with that, let's go through one more time and see if anybody has additional comments. We'll start from the top down here. So we have W3NH. Oh, and any additional comments for the net this evening? You're coming back as an illogical logic gate and a mute button. Go ahead.
I've done all the damage I can do with my sense of humor, but I'm sure if I thought about it long enough, there would be some component that I would like to be. But I'm not good at being inanimate objects, so I'll just be a ham. W3NH. Thanks for calling the net.
Roger. Well, thank you for checking in, and thank you for trying to hunt folks down. It's very kind of you, and I can, you know, call all I want, but unless you guys check in, it doesn't work. So thank you, especially you guys from Alabama and Georgia. You're all real friends of the Yale Amateur Radio Club, and we appreciate it. AB1DQ is off frequency, although it may be listening and may want to interject. AB1DQ, are you still on frequency or are you QSY?
KD4GS back from Hurricane Net.
Okay, the station that just called, could you give me your call sign again and your first name?
Kilo, Delta, 4, Golf, Sierra, Jimbo, Shelby County, back from the Hurricane Net on 75 meters. Over.
Aha, all right, Jimbo, I apologize. Didn't realize you would come back. Sometimes I don't get call signs if they're said too quickly. So we're going through the list again, so hang on for a minute. Unless you're going to tell us there's another hurricane coming. We just got rid of one up here. Hence the Magnon on my deck. All right, let's go to Kilo Golf 4, Victor Yankee Delta Buddy in Alabama. If you're here, or maybe you've gone again. Are you around still? Over.
Yes, Kilo Golf 4, Victor Yankee Delta. Yeah, I'm still here, and I apologize for the mishap on the last one. I hit a button on a microphone and incremented the channel, and it was only 5 kilohertz, so I didn't realize it. You know, I could hear, but obviously couldn't transmit. And anyhow, we got it straightened out. No further thoughts on the components, but appreciate you calling me that. We're just enjoying the heat down here in southern Alabama. G4 VYD.
Sure. Well, maybe this is nature's way of saying you should become a VFO in your next life. That would solve that problem. You could very easily move up and down the band that way with the VFO. Good to have you with us. Thank you for checking in. Appreciate it. All right, we'll go to Pete, AC4LA, Alpha Charlie 4, Lima Alpha. Pete, any other capacitors or power transistor, any other components you want to be? Over.
Well, Ed, I think I'd like to be a bunch of them, but I guess I only get 1 or 2 choices. I don't know. One of my other ones, which isn't actually an electronic component, although I think it is a dog. I think they've been along with us throughout this whole ordeal, and while she puts up with me, and my wife does too, all my craziness on the radio and everything I go through and putting things up and down and everything, I think a dog is a man's best friend. And I guess we could extend it to where I would say, what would my dog be if she would be a component? A speaker, well, a lifesaver, but also power supply. I think she would be all the above. So maybe next week you could extend it to the animal kingdom. And I would say my dog has all those components. I think she's a radio, an amplifier, a protector of me and everything else, and a friend. But that's my final comment there, Ed. Anyway, back to net. 73 and great net tonight, AC4LA.
Roger, well, I wasn't going to give the bad news, but I'm also net control next week. We have 4 guys, and when there's 2 weeks, 5 weeks in a month, which happens 3 or 4 times a year, I get to be the net control for both weeks. So this month has, next Tuesday, I'll be back here again. So I could talk about animals. That's good. I was thinking maybe your dog could come back as a fuse, because they protect the circuit, and if something happens, they take care of it and doesn't let any harm come to the circuit. so your dog could be infused. So that's not so bad. That's a good thing. You can think about that and talk about that next week. Or it could be a golf course, in which case they could be a dog leg to the left, as it were. But all right, KB4S, Russell. Any other comments? Any other components on your mind?
Negative. I can't think of anything else. Good to hear y'all again this week, and another great topic. And we'll be listening out for y'all in about a week. So 7-3, and good to hear everyone. KV4S, Chelsea, Alabama.
Well, thanks, Russell, for checking in as often as you do. We really appreciate it. And we'll go on to Larry, Kilo Oscar 4, Juliet Yankee Uniform, Mr. Diode. Any particular diode, IN34, IN78, any particular diode? Over to you.
I wish I'm strictly a DC guy. I'm not an AC guy, so I don't even know what you said. So, but I was thinking, if I didn't want to be a diode, I might want to be an antenna. Then I got to thinking, man, antenna are like people. Sometimes they know who they are, but sometimes they don't know who they are, and I don't want to be that. So I'm going to stick with the diode and be just the protector of the circuits that are coming this way. And if it fits one of those descriptions that you described, then that's what I am. L4JY.
Roger, Larry. Actually, what I said was IN34. Those are germanium diodes. I think I'm showing my age here. I used to sell those by the handful in my dad's store. I don't know how often they're used much anymore, but I used to use them because you make a crystal set out of them. It's a germanium diode, germanium. They used to use that, I think, like Selena crystals, selenium with the cat whisker. That was before my time, I'll tell you that. That was before my time. But germanium diodes had numbers IN34, IN78, and so forth. If you look it up in Wikipedia, you can find out about what kind of diode. Those are the ones I know best, but so be that. Anyway, diode's a diode, and we appreciate it. W1UKX, Greg, moving around your house there. Any other comments for the net this evening?
No, I think I think you can say what an antenna is president would want to be, but I just want to say I think we're very fortunate here in Wallingford with the bad weather we had this weekend. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. I just think we're all kind of thankful for that. We'll see what uniforms feel next week.
Roger, that's correct. We were very fortunate in Wallingford that we didn't get the brunt of it. I just put up a 34-foot vertical antenna, CHA 250 from Comet, and it goes up to 65 miles an hour, which is what the guts were supposed to be, but we survived. So good for us. Jimbo, KD4GS. Shelby, any additional comments before you're back from the hurricane? Annette, don't tell us there's another one coming, please. I'm not interested in it, but over to you, sir. KD4GS.
Thank you for calling that. Well, you got to remember, we just send the smaller ones up north. We keep the big, heavy ones down here for most destruction. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to be an on and off switch, such a sense of power there. But other than that, I'm only here so that I'm not being rude because of the coercion I got from Owen to be here and represent Alabama. And he told me not to say roll tide, but go Yale. KD4GS back to net control.
Well, Roger, you actually are allowed to say roll tide. No problem. I'll say it for you. What you're not allowed to say is red tide, because the algae is, that'll kill you. The red tide is not good, but roll tide is fine. In fact, I think my favorite football player, I believe, is Joe Namath. Joe was in his prime when I was, in New York. I was in medical school. I was going to the Jet games, watching him and George Sauer and the Jets when they won their one Super Bowl. It was number 3. But I grew up in Chicago, if you think I ever grew up. So I should have been a Chicago Bear, but I really liked the Jets with Joe Namath. And then, after he retired, he went to Los Angeles Rams, which wasn't a good thing for him to do. But he's my guy, so you're allowed to roll tide. I believe he was from Alabama. All right, gentlemen, we're moving on. WA1RAB, Bob in Milford. Mr. Power Supply, any comments for the net tonight? Any additional comments?
WA1RAB, Bob in Milford. No, I mean, thank God everybody, it's pretty much in Connecticut, missed a good deal of that storm, so got a little windy here, but not too bad. And then it rained, but no flooding in the basement, so that was a positive. Other than that, I hope everybody has a good week, 73, and back to net control.
Roger, thank you, Bob, very much for checking in as often as you do and being a strong supporter of the Skywar Net as well as this net. All right, David in Shelton, Kilo Charlie 1, Oscar Peter Echo. You're going to be a mobile battery, so what's doing with you?
No further thoughts. Glad it sounds like everybody got out okay. Just the weather we had. Here in Shelton didn't really get too hard. A lot of rain. Started to survive okay. So I'm thankful, but I hope everybody else fared okay. That's it. 73 call.
Hey, well, thank you very much for checking in. If you're looking for a club to join, we would be exquisitely happy to have you join us. It's $20 a year, and since you join now after June, you get to be a member through the end of December 2022. So what a bargain. All you guys in Alabama and Georgia, you want to join a northern club, feel free. Just w1nrg.com. We'd be happy to have, we could start an Alabama chapter, a Georgia chapter. Think of the possibilities, which are probably not very many. In any event, thanks for checking in. WA4AQW, Carl, you're going to take us home here. Go ahead, sir. Mr. LED.
This is WA4AQW. Well, it's an interesting net tonight. We got a couple of chuckles and enjoyed the comments. I think probably what we ought to do, we got all the components identified and collected together. We need to put the power on it, throw that switch to on, and see where the smoke comes from. That would be an interesting experiment there. Back to net control. This is WA4AQW.
Roger, Carl, I think there'd be a small mushroom cloud coming out of some... interesting, nobody said they would be a transformer. I actually used to collect antique radios before I became a ham, trying to sublimate my desire to get on the air. I stopped actually collecting them once I became a ham, oddly enough. And I bought this very nice radio, and I turned it on, and it snap, crackle, and pop. And it wasn't Rice Krispies, it was the power transformer. I guess that it burned through the dielectric there and wiped out the power supply of the radio. So anyway, that's the deal. So with that, I'll ask if there's any other check-ins now, and then we'll close the net out. Anybody else last-minute check-ins, please call now. This is W1YSM for the W1YU Yale Amateur Radio Club net in its 276th iteration.
This is Kilo Mike 4 Victor Papa Golf, Douglas at Fayette, Alabama. Roll Tide.
Roger, good to have you with us. Someone had a roll tide. It might as well be you since it's tradition. How you been? And we're just about to close the net, but there's always room for you, sir. So why don't you, the question that we had was if you had to be a component, Douglas, what would you come back as? If you had to be a electronic component, what would you be?
Well, KM4BBG. Good evening, Ned. I've been missing it, been forgetting about it. But I remembered it. Just felt like I forgot it today. I just got home from rehab yesterday evening at about 6. I was in the hospital the last of July, Monday. I had got blood clots all in my hips, both sides, and I just went to the rehab from the 3rd of this month. As far as electronic, let's see, I don't know. Let me ask the question exactly what you meaning by that.
Well, I meant would you come back as a speaker, capacitor, resistor, diode, battery, LED, vacuum tube? I'm coming back as a speaker because I have a big mouth. What would you come back as?
Probably a battery. Well, I could power a lot of times. KM4BPG. Hope everybody has a good night. If not, I hope it gets better for them. I'll see 73 all. KM4BPG, back in the control.
Right, battery it is. So I think there was a tie between capacitors and batteries. The thing is, interestingly, almost all of you guys want to be in charge and have power. I was the only one to speak. So that's really good. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for checking in. It has been an absolute delight talking to you guys tonight. I thought this was going to be a little dry, but you guys made it very moist. So I appreciate it very much. And I hope it gets a little cooler down south so you guys have a little less heat to deal with. I'd like to thank all of you for checking in tonight's Yale Amateur Radio Club W1YU Net. We thank the following stations: N1BRL Bard in Wallingford, W3NH Owen in Birmingham, 81DQ James in Cheshire, KG4 VYD Buddy in Alabama, AC4 LA Pete in Huntsville, KB4S Russell in Chelsea, Kilo Oscar 4 Juliet Yankee Uniform Larry in Hoover, W1UKX Greg in Wallingford, WKD4GS KD4GS Jimbo in Shelby, WA1RAB Bob in Milford, KC1OPE Dave in Shelton, WA4AQW Carl in Murrayville, Illinois, and KM4 VPG Douglas in Fayetteville, Alabama. Roll Tide. Let me take a break here. I'd also like to thank, and I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to K1SOX, without whom you wouldn't be able to hear me at all tonight, because he's the one that told me to pick my power switch and put it on high. And also to N1GNV, who got me the 100 feet of coax cable, RG8X, I believe, that I rolled out from my deck so I could actually connect my antenna to my radio so you could hear me. Please encourage other licensed amateur operators to join us here every Tuesday night at 2000 hours Eastern Time on the W1 SPC repeater, 147.505, minus 1 meg offset, and PL tone 77. Also on Echolink or IRLT. I would like to thank the owner and trustee of that station, K1SOX, and the Shore Point Amateur Radio Club, Shore Point, Spark, for coordinating and scheduling this net and allowing the Yale Amateur Radio Club to use this repeater. This was a fun evening. It was nice to have a couple of laughs, and relax for a little bit before we get back to the miserable part of trying to get through the life. Sometimes it throws things at us. So stay well. I can't thank you guys enough for checking in, and thank your YLs and XYLs and significant others for letting you play radio for about an hour. This is W1YSM with the honor of closing the W1YU net. Thanking once again all of you guys for checking in at, actually it's 2059. And I would like to return the net to regular amateur use. And note that at least for now, it doesn't look like it's going to last long. The Red Sox are beating the Twins. This is W1YSM, closing the W1YU net. This Yale Amateur Radio Club net is now closed, 7-3.